So hello and welcome to episode 3 of Believe It or Not with me, Russell Quirk, and my friend here,
Esther Kreku.
So Believe It or Not for the uninitiated is the show where we talk to you about 6 news items that you might believe are a little woke, except one of them is not true. And it's your job, and in this episode, Esther's job, to try and decide which of the 5 ridiculous woke edicts are true and which one is not. So shall we kick off?
Yes.
So Esther doesn't know, by the way. So when she shows genuine surprise or horror or disgust, you'll see that it's actually genuine surprise.
He's such a good liar. That's the problem. He's
Yes.
so good at lying, and he looks like he has such a stoic face.
Well, of course, in a previous life, I'm an estate agent, so that'll be
God.
why. That'll be why. Right. Okay. So the first one is, and bearing in mind, some of these are true, some are not. So you've got to work out which ones are and which ones are not. The first one is Apple iPhone updates. You know that annoying thing when you wake up in the morning and Apple have updated your iPhone and everything's changed and you kind of have to re-navigate.
Is that how it works with Apple? Because I've never had an Apple. I refuse to have an Apple. I'm an Android baby, and
Sacrilege.
Samsung.
Heathen.
Indeed. Samsung has an update every fucking week, and I kid you not, they always have it pops up when I'm trying to do something. It's like, oh, update your phone.
Yeah.
So it won't update it automatically, but it'll piss you off until you do.
So I've got mine set to auto update. However, right, this is the point of my rant here is that Apple, in their infinite wisdom, so a typical Silicon Valley woke kind of left-leaning, right-on, yogurt knitting, Hessian wearing type business, have decided that in their latest update, emojis that we all love and we all use, even people of my generation are using emojis. Who would have thought? They've introduced some new ones, including, wait for it, watch the face.
Oh my God, okay.
A pregnant man emoji.
Does it have a penis? How do you know it's a man?
Well, no, but I don't know if there is a woman with a penis for the benefit of the Labour Party, for instance, one, but there should be. So the issue here that I have is that A, a man can't get pregnant, and B,
Not according to Google.
Why on earth are an institution, an organisation, an entity like Apple getting involved with the debate, really, which is that to apparently appease and please certain people of a particular political persuasion, they think that it's correct and right on and okay to make sure that they actually have within their menu of emojis a man with a big pregnant belly.
This is the thing. This sounds terrible. I'm more concerned with the logistics of this. Because if it's a pregnant man, would it be a face
Sorry,
with
just
short
stop
hair?
there, right? A pregnant man. Isn't it just ridiculous?
I know it's ridiculous, but nothing surprises me anymore. But I'm thinking of the logistics. So you'd have a face, I'm assuming yellow, and short hair, and then the bump, and the little dangly thing off it.
Well, no. It's only kind of pregnant bump up.
So how do we know it's a man?
Well, because it looks very, very much like a man. And I think they've declared in their
is it
update,
like a butch? Does
in
it
their
look like Rocky
narrative, they've
Balboa?
said it's a pregnant man. That's what it is. Unashamedly. Right, so that's my first one. So
Okay.
is it true? Is
I'm
it
just
not?
confused about the logistics.
Yeah, so I might be making it up. It might be so ridiculous. Of course, Apple wouldn't introduce an emoji of a pregnant man, or indeed, next stage, a woman with a dangling
And this is only
penis.
on Apple phones.
Yes. This is an Apple update. Okay, so that's my first one. We've got 5 to go.
I've avoided
Second one,
insanity.
celebrity chef Jamie Oliver, who we all love as a national treasure? I'm not sure.
He's around.
Gets himself into kind of hot water, doesn't he?
Oh my God, he made a jollof recipe and infuriated every single West African on the planet.
Well, that's what I'm coming to. That's a
Okay.
nice segue into what I want to talk
should
about.
be in prison for
So
that.
he has employed, or has he employed a cultural appropriation specialist to make sure that the dishes that he creates, either for these restaurants or for supermarket chains, or indeed on TV, are not culturally offensive. So, for instance, coronation chicken, banned. Eton mess, banned. Elitism, of course. And I guess, look, these are mine now. I'm riffing a little bit here now. Does it mean no spotted dick?
I mean, that probably wouldn't be the case for many reasons. I don't understand. So he's not just trying to bastardize recipes. He's saying that some recipes are racist.
Some recipes are offensive, yes.
Even though we eat it.
Because if for instance he stands there cooking something and he professes to be, let's say, a curry expert, some people will label him as being culturally appropriating on the basis that he's basically being, he's kind of lampooning the fact that he's making curry on the basis that curry should only be made by people that traditionally make curry, i.e. people from India and the Indian subcontinent. So what he's concerned about is that he will be seen to be offensive on the basis of him being a white guy, for instance, making curry, and therefore this cultural appropriation specialist is in place to make sure that when they sit there devising their menus and their recipes, they would exclude certain ones that might, no pun intended, get him into hot water.
I question, and none of this makes sense.
Is this necessary to us as a society?
I mean, it's absurd, to say the least. But Eton Mess is English.
But it's an elite school.
So what? So it has to be...
So it might offend people that can't afford a private or a public school and that have had to slum it in a
so it's
British
not,
state
this
comprehensive.
goes past culture then. It has to be where you're from specifically, and it has to be working class.
Yeah, and I guess, look,
What's
Welsh,
a working class British meal?
Welsh, well, I don't know, egg and chips, I suppose.
Egg and chips?
Bacon
Fish and
sandwich. No, egg and chips. Ham, egg and chips. Yeah, seriously,
What
come
is
on.
that?
What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Seriously?
Like fried
Fries.
egg and chips?
Yeah, completely. You know, with a bit of bread, chip butty. No?
Okay.
Anyway, Welsh rarebit. Is Welsh rarebit offensive?
What is that?
Welsh rarebit is actually cheese on toast, isn't it? I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was rabbit. Welsh rabbit. I love rabbit. Okay.
No, it's not rabbit. It's cheese
You
on
have a
toast.
rabbit. And
But you know, could it be that Jamie Oliver being seen to stand there making a Welsh rarebit is offensive because Welsh people say you can't do that. That's our
so
dish.
Welsh rabbit is...
Well, I'm sure it's not Welsh at all. But the point being, all of these dishes could be deemed by the snowflakes, the politically sensitive on the left, as somewhat offensive if you dare, as a person that is not of that culture. So it's like me coming to your house and cooking a Ghanaian dish and you being offended. Well, you wouldn't be offended. You just say, this would be funny.
Yeah, I'd probably laugh. I was just about to say I'd laugh.
Yes, watching Russell here cook whatever that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, this is where society is going.
So
is
he's
that now
hired an expert.
you've got to keep in your lane, apparently, even
So
as a celebrity chef.
Just to be clear, Jamie Oliver has hired an expert to preemptively not offend people.
Yes.
Okay.
Or has he?
Okay.
Could be made up. Number 3, Barrowford Primary School has banned meat, talking of the food theme, from all of its lunches at the school. So in their canteen, no meat served at all. And they've also banned meat in packed lunches that children bring in that their parents have made from them.
First question, how is that any of their business?
Well, I guess the school, and I'm not going to be a Barrowford Primary School apologist, as you can imagine, because I'm not a vegetarian, definitely not a vegan, and I'm also kind of an advocate of free speech and freedom of expression, actually, which I think
is weird.
This yeah, I mean, how dare I? I mean, it's a ridiculous standpoint now. I guess that the woke muppets that are running Barrowford Primary School think that maybe because they have a certain view on animals, animal rights, and vegetarianism and veganism, that they should impose that on everybody else, which I find horrifically offensive.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who was vegan,
you were vegan for a day, weren't you?
A week.
I have to tell you, Esther rings me one day and says, I've gone vegan. And I laughed, of course, and said, yeah, okay, I wonder how long that's going to last. And it lasted 24 hours.
I was a vegan for a week. And the reason why I stopped is because
A whole 7 days.
Week. I basically just had like vegan tortilla wraps. That's all I could stomach.
Yeah.
And like salads here and there.
But when I threw a vegan pasty at you out the car window, as I met
that
you
is
this
the
morning,
most grotesque thing I've ever seen in my life. That's vegan.
Which I actually did do.
It was
by the way.
horrific.
I
So
actually did
offensive.
do.
Anyway, and I couldn't do it because I felt weak. Because I do a lot of physical activity and stuff. I literally felt anemic.
What
for
you
the
felt?
week.
You felt physically weak.
Physically
not
weak. I felt
morally
anemic.
weak, but physically weak.
I'm never morally weak.
Okay, should we move on to number 4?
Yes.
You're going to like this one. Okay, so this is a nightclub called the Pussy Palace. I'm sure many will be familiar with it.
I'm not sure I want to hear the rest of this.
Yeah, Pussy Palace. So they have changed the way that they charge people for entry. So instead of it being a standard 20 quid on the door, they've decided to change the entry criteria so that depending on how you fit as a demographic will dictate what you pay. So for instance, the regular charge for someone like me as a white heterosexual male is 112 quid. That's some expensive entry fee.
Yeah.
However, that's the top end, right? So I'm the most disadvantaged when it comes to entry cost at Pussy Palace. Not that I've ever been there.
You poor thing.
If I'm black or trans, I only pay £16. Who
gets it for free?
If I'm white, well, I get. If you're probably a disabled black
Muslim,
trans lesbian,
yeah.
they'll probably give you 25 quid to go in.
Oh yeah, give you money. Yeah,
Yeah, I
for all the
suspect.
oppression you face.
So
yeah.
again, is it true? Am I making this up? Is it that ridiculous that
I'm,
it
I'm
can't
hoping there's
possibly
a club.
be true?
There isn't a club called Pussy Palace. Ew, ew.
Yeah.
What even is that? Is that harem? Is that like a dirty word for harem?
I suspect the owner just likes
That
cats.
could be a harem.
The owner just likes cats.
If I ever have that, I'll do that.
So again, is it correct that we have got to a position, if this
Mm-hmm.
is true, where there is kind of so much of a reverse discrimination approach that we
not even
now
reverse
make it
discrimination.
more expensive for a certain sector of the community and way less expensive for another sector
I
of
mean,
the
it's
community?
just straightforward discrimination, right? And I've often had this argument because I'm usually in situations where I have to argue with someone of an opposing political view. And one thing I always hear is, and you have all these straight white men. And I'm like, when did it become a crime to be a straight white man? I'm sorry, you need some
Well,
realistic...
guys like me, I'm not supposed to have an opinion on anything that relates
But it's not
to
even just that.
trans
It's such
or
a
race.
weird
right?
hill to die on. You're in a northern European country where 90% of the population is white. Half of that are men. What exactly? Okay, if I went to Ghana and I was seeing Chinese people on the billboards, I'd have questions, right? Because it's a sub-Saharan African country. Why are we trying to push out or make the opinions of straight white men lesser than? Since when was that a crime to be a straight white man in a northern European country?
Because the woke left seem to have the opinion, unfortunately, that our very existence is offensive to the minorities that we are oppressing and stopping coming through in all walks of life, and that we're basically in the way. We are.
I think it's such a weird thing. They say you have an inherent privilege, but if you look at sort of statistics on school success in school and actual scholastic attainment, white boys are at the bottom, right? And no one's talking about this because it's not sexy, right? But there's this weird sort of doctrine that straight white men are not necessarily the enemy, but they should be willing to take a back seat to remedy all the oppression they're responsible for. And I just think it's weird.
We could turn this subject into a whole different show, I think. So anyway, that's number 4. So that's Pussy Palace, who have manipulated their entry prices depending on your sexuality and your race, basically. Number 5, The Wonderful World of Disney. We've talked about this before on the show.
You know what? I believe it because Disney has lost.
Well, no, this is simply Minnie Mouse. So put a picture in your head of Minnie Mouse. So the big kind of cloggy heels and the little red and white polka dot dress. Well, Minnie Mouse will no longer wear a red and white polka dot dress. That's way too feminine. So Minnie Mouse. So Minnie Mouse is now going to wear a pantsuit, a la Hillary Clinton, I guess. So trousers, flat shoes, no heels, no dress, because apparently it's demeaning to be seen as feminine.
Is she a lesbian now? What's going on here?
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
Butch Minnie Mouse, ew.
Yeah, so that's what Disney have done. And of course, Disney we've talked about in the past in terms of their kind of enthusiasm for now making sure that actually the overreach is that 50% of their cast members are from the LGBTQI
underrepresented communities. That I heard of.
Yeah.
I didn't know Minnie Mouse was getting the makeover into super unattractive uber feminist.
Yeah, she's now become kind of.
I mean, I would understand it if they made her character now a lesbian, but then you're playing into offensive stereotypes of lesbians with the whole.
Well, they should just go the whole hog and turn her into Extinction Rebellion Minnie Mouse, shouldn't they? Put her in dreadlocks and an old pair of jeans and an old pair of pumps.
They always have dreadlocks.
And glue her to the side of the Magic Kingdom float as it goes past.
Yeah, and make sure you super glue her, not just like glue her with normal.
Oh yeah.
That's.
Yeah, so that's number 5. And then lastly, number 6, the Labour Party. So the Labour Party have been in the news and criticised a lot recently about their inability to denote what a woman is. And not just that, but they're hesitant in even having the conversation. You ask a Labour MP, Keir Starmer included, can you define what a woman is, Keir? And they cringe, they crumble because they just don't want to have the debate. So here's this.
Which is weird, to a woman.
Well, she might be offended, I suppose.
And I'm assuming they have intimates. What bits
can we
do
not
you...
have that picture in our mind?
I'm just...
Keir Starmer having sex with his missus? No, thank you.
They might not do. She might not identify as
the Labour Party are removing all references to age and gender from all of their documentation and application forms for candidates.
So what exactly? Who's going to be running tapeworms?
Well, and the rationale, I suppose, and again, not something I'm defending, but just from their point of view, is they're not here to defend themselves, is that rather than having this debate about men versus women and so on, let's just get rid of gender entirely as if that is some magic bullet to somehow helping stop discrimination. I think it's the opposite. Because, as we talked about before, you can't then differentiate, so to make sure that everybody's getting an equal hand. But this is the Labour Party. Basically, the Labour Party are seeking to eradicate gender.
But that makes it seem like human beings are a bunch of like widgets.
Well, it's like the genders are the same. Now, unfortunately, so you can do what you want in terms of identifying as a different gender. That's fine by me.
Yeah, whatever the hell.
You can't change your sex, so you can't be. You can't become a man. You can identify as a man if you're a woman, and vice versa. But of course, there is the small thorny issue of chromosomes. Now, until someone comes along and actually manages to turn your whatever you are, X and my XYs ran the other way, then sex will always remain the same, albeit you can identify as a different gender. The Labour Party just basically, I think, not just because they don't believe that there should be genders, but I think this is an obfuscation of the debate. It's, look, let's just back away from this thing and not have a man-woman thing.
This is why they will never come into power, because they don't know what they're about. Now you're treating human beings like a bunch of bowling pins, right? Genderless widget bowling pins that some have hair, some don't, some have a penis, some don't. You know, we don't know what they are, so let's just leave it. And I just think a primary school kid can tell you this. You're expecting to lead half the country. You can't defend what half the country is.
Well, look, let's see if it's true. Right, so that's the 6. Shall I recap? Because you've got to choose which one you think is false. So Apple iPhone update, pregnant man. Jamie Oliver employing a cultural appropriation specialist. Barrow for Primary School has banned meat from all of its lunches, including packed lunches. The wonderfully named Pussy, can I just say it in this way? The wonderfully named Pussy Palace nightclub and their ridiculous, so to speak, and their ridiculous way of charging entry. Disney for Minnie Mouse now being dressed in a pantsuit, and the Labour Party for removing all references to age and gender from all of their application forms and documentation. So, what do you fancy as being definitely true?
I think. Oh, I'm so sad. Maybe Labour Party. I can believe that.
Okay.
I think the one that really shouldn't be true, like it's just so stupid, is the Disney one with Minnie Mouse.
Okay, so that's true.
That's false.
No, that's true.
Oh no!
So Minnie Mouse is now going to be dressed. In fact, Stella McCartney has designed the image.
Why is this necessary?
So, sorry, real life. This is not bullshit now. I'm telling you, the Disney Minnie Mouse item here is true. Minnie Mouse will now be dressed in a pantsuit. Stella McCartney has swooped in and designed it. So that's true.
Okay.
So what now don't you think is true?
Maybe Jamie Oliver's person?
That's true. Jamie Oliver has actually employed a cultural appropriation specialist to make sure he doesn't offend people with Coronation Bloody Chicken. Yeah, that's true.
The meat thing at the schools.
The meat thing?
Yeah.
Well, now you're on something. Barrow for Primary School has banned meat from lunches and packed lunches.
Yeah,
so you think that's the one that's false? It's true. Right? That's the beauty of this show, isn't it? That's the beauty of the show. That you look at these things and think, Russell's just made that up. That's so ridiculous. That can't be true.
Okay.
You're not doing very well here.
What's left?
Pussy Palace nightclub.
What's the other one? Pussy Palace nightclub and what?
And then Apple iPhone update, pregnant man.
The thing is, I lived outside a nightclub when I was in Bristol, so I can totally believe. I lived outside Queen Shilling, Bent, and OMG.
Bent.
Bent, which is
what a wonderfully named nightclub. Okay.
it's an appropriately named gay club.
So you're choosing between
Pussy Palace and Apple.
Palace and Apple iPhone update.
Maybe the Apple one is fake.
Okay, that's true.
So the Pussy Palace one is not fake.
No, that's also true. You got the Labour Party wrong. The Labour Party taking gender and age off of all of their applications to document that is actually false. I made that up. Sorry, Labour Party.
But I believed it.
We'll leave that till next month because when it will be true, no doubt.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the others are true. So Apple iPhone update, pregnant man, true. Jamie Oliver, stupid cultural appropriation, nonsense. That's true. Barrow for Primary School, daring to tell all of their pupils and parents they can't eat meat anymore. That's true. Pussy Palace nightclub. Let's go along and have a look because you and I rocking up actually it'd be great because they're going to charge me £100 and they're going to say, but your friend gets in for I think you'd be about £24, assuming you're not a lesbian this week.
I could be.
Well, for a discount.
Exactly.
So that's true. And yeah, the Minnie Mouse thing is true. Who would have thought, eh? So do you like them this week?
I'm horrified.
But this is the world.
I don't even
we live
know
in.
which I find most horrible. I think the meat one hurts me the most. That it's a soft spot because I'm really craving KFC.
But this is the world we live in. All right, so look, we're done, I think. So out of those 6, I caught you out again. 1 week.
He's so believable.
1 week you might actually get the one.
Yeah,
That's
the one.
actually
Yeah,
false.
I'm gonna be owed something.
We'll see what happens next time. Right. Okay. Well, thank you for joining in.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
And don't forget to subscribe. You've enjoyed this. Don't be rude. Okay?
And
Just
comment.
subscribe.
Comment.
Exactly.
Look, whether you agree or not, we don't care actually. So just say what you like.
Don't be mean to me in the comments. I do care.
I suspect you'll be the hot one and I'll be the annoying one. That's
Oh
how
my
this
God.
That's how this is going to roll, right?
All right.
Okay. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
a lot.